Today was seemed like any other day. The temperature was low, snow was falling outside the window. The world, or at least half of it, grew to become slightly more peaceful. What made this day so special, nobody really knew, but they never really did question. It was a special day known as Christmas, the day when the snow would fall, seemingly to take the anger and frustration out of people, and the feeling of goodwill replacing it. For few reasons, no. Christmas was a day of giving gifts. Maybe it was to celebrate the coming new year, or perhaps something similar to Thanksgiving. Nobody knew for sure. Humans knew the day ways of Christmas, but monsters, on the other hand. It's Christmas! Sully groaned a bit, feeling his bed shuffled up and down. When he cracked his eyes open as best as he could see the disturbance was Mike jumping on his bed like an excited kid. As soon as he noticed his buddy was somewhat awake, Mike brought his very large eye close to Sully's. "Wake up!" And with that, Mike jumped off quickly, scudding off from Sully's sight. Turning over, he rubbed his shut eye. The one that cracked open peered out the window nearby. It was snowing, and some of the glass had been frosted. But it was morning. A moment of looking was broken when the rustle of paper was heard. Turning his head, Sully gave a disappointed glance at Mike, who was fumbling at the presents under the rather smaller tree. He instantly got up. "Mike," he said with disappointed enthusiasm. Mike just returned with a pointed finger. "Aha! Now, Sul, I obeyed the rules this time, so no sneaking up at night. No replacing the real presents with fakes. No more using those X-ray specs given the comics," Sully added with a raised eyebrow. "Well, they didn't work, and I want my $4.95 back," Mike retorted for after a moment, then going back to the present wrapped under in blue paper. That was before Sully searched over with a giant hand and snatched it. He held it high as Mike tried to grab it back, going as far as to crawling up half Sully, but it stopped. "We got to work today, Mike. Gift exchange, remember?" Sully reminded. Mike rolled his big eye. "So what?" "You've waited a month. Will a few hours be any harder?" "Depends on how long you're going to hide that gift," Mike said, crossing his arms. Sully rolled his eyes, grabbing the other few gifts for the exchange, as well as those out of goodwill. Mike's, of course, the one Mike got for him. Sully shook the small box for a moment, then grabbed the others. One for Celia, one for Mr. Waternoose, and Sully looked at the small rectangular box with the red ribbon around to hold it together. He wasn't exactly sure what to get, so he simply picked up something rather decent at random and hoped it would work. Mike noticed the box, and it was the only one in Sully's free hand. Whoa, time out," Mike said, giving the international hand gesture for it. His eye looked over at each present. "Mine is Smooshy Poo's." "Oh, Sul," Mike groaned, turning to take a few steps. "You were not actually thinking of getting something for him." Sully wanted to give Mike the simple, "What are you talking about?" stare, with a tad annoyance. "Mike, gift exchange means random, remember?" Mike lowered his eyes, shaking head, seemingly disappointed. "Sul, you got the title, what, a few weeks ago, and I know you want to give losing term for something for their troubles, but what, Mike?" Sully shook his head. "Maybe you just need to get into the spirit this year, Mike." "Oh, I got plenty of spirit. It's Lizard Boy that needs it." "Maybe," Sully started. "And if so, that's what this is for," Sully said, gesturing to the box in his hand. Mike seemed to finish, just having the slightly shocked look on his face. With a sigh, Sully gave the presents to another for heave to help with the stamina. "Now come on, we've got a party to get to," he said, trying to creep a smile up to loosen the tension. Mike wasn't fazed, still with the falling smile. Sully stared it out, Mike following behind him with it, giving a disgusted look on the tag on the present. From Sully to Randall. It was cold outside. Touching the glass of the window would bring chill to your hand. Most people, snow was a fascinating sight. Maybe it was due to that time of the year, or the simple innocence of the color white. But to some, snow was just what it was, cold, not simply in the temperature sense, but from a person's view. The snow chilled in your whole body, turning your limbs numb and making your heart steadily decline, reminding you that it could hurt you in a variety of ways. Randall stared out of the window of his apartment, watching the snowfall. There isn't any anger or frustration on his face, no disgust or vile. Seemed to be a little to no emotion at all, really. His fawns were really relaxed, his mouth closed, and his eyes were watching as each parent snowflake made its fall. In some ways, he was lost in another world either of one of his own or created. Nobody could tell. A few citizens passed by crossing the street, and Randall took a small heed of their intrusion from his view. A couple, a kid, and an elderly monster. There were 3 kids outside with one of the houses, throwing snowballs at soda cans as they placed up early. When Randall took a slight interest, he wondered, perhaps it was practice for next year, or a game that would later take place later that day. After a few moments of watching, Randall decided he didn't relatively care what they were doing anymore. Turning, though, keeping his stare motionless, he sat down, mostly in a skewed N shape, on his bed, looking down and placing both sets of hands together. He really didn't know how to react to Christmas, really. His early life didn't have much Christmas joy. Later on, he got a brief taste of what it meant, but now he really didn't know. Since working at Monsters Incorporated, the past few years, people had always told him to get into the holiday spirit. That confused him. What did that really mean? What is the holiday spirit? What is the holiday spirit for him? What Christmas was best known for giving joy of giving each other gifts? What's the use for that someone who has taken everything from them? Randall averted all of his eyes to the window again. It was so confusing. What's the use of this holiday if you have no joy to give? Giving a sigh, Randall looked over to the surprisingly well-wrapped present in the side. His thoughts on Christmas were shrouded for the time being when he remembered the gift exchange party at MI. It wasn't enough. He decided to be one of the required scarers for the Christmas workday, but it was going to be the top to be forced into gift exchanging with another employee. But what really cut the cheese was whose name he picked out for Santa to hat 5 years ago. Randall rolled his eyes with a growl. Recalling Jerry came around with that hat of names, basically had the name of each employee on the floor. He had been thinking that the idea was crock, just something to do with the season of things. He was hoping to get someone he didn't know so that he didn't have to think of a gift that would later come back to slap him in the face, literally. But as fates would have done to him, Sullivan picked up his name out of the hat. Randall scuffled. Sullivan was up his top scare record a few weeks before. No big deal, really. He would get back on top, but as the days turned to weeks, he was given a bit of sketchy that Sullivan was keeping the position. Of course, for now, Randall was just bidding for the time being, thinking to himself that he was just holding back, or Sullivan was just on a simple luck streak. October probably gave Sullivan the boost to catch up quickly, but nonetheless, Randall knew Sullivan wouldn't be up for long. Pulling the Christmas thoughts back and gagging down his thoughts of Sullivan, he got up, snatching up the gift with his left lower hand as he did. Going up the door, he picked up his brown heavy coat. Not a gift, something he got for himself. Once he got it on, he placed the small gift in the pocket of the coat. He was ready to head out till he forgot his lunch. Scorning to himself for forgetting, he headed to the kitchen and approaching the metal pail. He knew that party would have had free food, but as with some free foods, no assurance will find your ways of what you like. Then again, he was thinking of smuggling some favorite snacks on later that night. What's the harm? It's free. As he grabbed the pail, he noticed the tree in the living room, lowering the pail to his lower hand. He looked over past the tree. It wasn't really tall, about half the size of the traditional ones. Randall took a few steps into the living room. Looking it over, he didn't really know why he had a tree. No presents under it, not even a card. What's even the point? His eyes drew leftward to the pictures hanging on the wall. Maybe some things shouldn't change, he thought. maybe if anyone cared to know, and Randall allowed but a bit of him, they wouldn't question his confusion on such things as Christmas. If they hadn't known that he had next to no one, that some days he felt dead inside. Maybe Christmas was a moment that reminded him of that. That reminded Randall that he had pieces of himself ripped away, and that he had lost the most precious thing of all. He shook his head, trying to diminish the thoughts that started for the door. He had to leave his personal side for the time, and he had to put on his front and at least try to be steady, as he bowed his hand for a moment or two before grasping the knob and heading out. Monsters Inc. changed during the Christmas season. The enthusiasm of the employees showed the gallery of paper and foiled snowflakes hanging from the ceiling of each hall. The cutouts of creatures known as reindeer placed once in a while on the side of each corner. The gallery of red and green colors, from the clothes to wrapping designs, various trees bought in a few of employees were spread out with lights, and the various Christmas-themed Mary covering the company. Randall didn't really care when he stepped in, both sets of hands jammed into his coat pockets, lunch pail sticking halfway out, and nearly tearing. One of them he shivered a bit, flicking the snow off his tail. Straightening up, he got as far as the entrance till the cold air dissipated. "Brr," he mumbled, with a shiver. Once he started to warm up, he took a look around to see if anything he had been at it on the last day. Nothing much, maybe a spare tree or two, but nothing else out of the ordinary. "Merry Christmas," one employee said, tipping his hat as he passed. Randall gave a fake, yet convincing smile. Then he instantly switched back to an annoyed attitude. Blowing a breath, he stared at the direction of the hallway leading to his floor. He gave a look over at Celia, and she was wearing a festive outfit, red and green trim. Randall grimaced at the holiday achievement and started to turn his attention to someone else. "Oh, Randall!" He forgot to notice where he was heading, a bit too close to the desk when he went to the hall. Sighing from being noticed, he turned. Celia was waving over at him, slightly, very slightly annoyed. He didn't come over a bit sooner. With a bit of forbidding regret, he did. "Thought you wouldn't want to be here for the exchange," she said with a smile. "Finally," Randall started, flicking his tail. "Someone who agrees with me." Celia's smile faded. "Well," she empathized, "someone has their Christmas spirit high today." "Pfft," Randall grunted. Celia placed her hands to her hips. "You can be grumpy all you want every other day, but the tradition has a Christmas has none of that." Her snakes nodded in agreement, one seeming to nod leisurely as if drunk off eggnog. "Not like it's the law, and even though those are very clear, are they?" Randall retorted, making emphasis at the few eyeing passerbys. Celia took note if any of the calls were waiting, and then placed the back of her tentacles together, placing her hand on them. "It is because Sully is a top scarer instead of you?" she asked. Randall gave a small, half-shocked look, making Celia smile with a femme fatale motion. After a moment, Randall gave a half-hearted but firm grin. "So what? He'll be off soon. Considered it a present, and that I'm letting Sullivan and your prize bowling ball stay up." He then gave his trademark grin, because one of the New Year's resolutions is to knock him off the top. Celia kept her smile. "At least you're giving something to them." "What is it you want anyway?" Randall asked, remembering the point of this little conversation. "I don't have all the time in the world." He was a bit pleased to see Celia was the one giving half-shocked, well, rather forgetful look. "All right." She dug under her desk and pulled out a green sheet of paper, handing it to him. Randall didn't take it at first. "Oh wow, green paper? I didn't get you anything." Celia scoffed as she finally took it. "It's a schedule that Mr. Waternoose put up in the locker rooms. The events going on this year's Christmas. Knew a few people like you would only give it a brief look," she said, adding a rougher tone at the end. Randall gave the same fake smile before looking at the paper. The party and gift exchange were on bold. Other events included locker cards, as illegal as it was to look in everyone's lockers and damage the company property. The locker card event was basically attaching letters to someone's locker. Nothing really big. It was just like what they did on Valentine's Day. "What else?" he mumbled. "Carol recruiters? a limited amount of people with singing, or Randall's terms, think they can sing. Abilities would go around to each floor and give a song or two, and though they got paid for doing so. Rather be caught dead than sing a half-tone deaf choir, he thought. The rest was just skimmed, was being served for lunch, chocolate contest, one weird involving a daycare and a reindeer suit, and a few concerning Christmas bonuses. So you're thinking about taking up any? So Celia asked, breaking his light concentration. Randall shrugged, taking a step towards the hall. Oh, he stopped. Thanks for the schedule. Now I know the event and time. He started heading towards the hall with Celia smiling, and then to avoid them, Randall mumbled to himself, crumbling the paper and not finding the trash can nearby, stuffing it in his pocket. It's falling! It's falling! It wouldn't be if you wouldn't stop trying to catch it. Sully's arms were getting tired from holding the presents up from over the walk to the company. Mike had been trying to grab his the whole time. Sully, googly bear, Celia announced. Sully didn't know how close they were until his stomach hit the desk. Hey, Smoochy Poo, now give me that present, Sul, Mike quickly snatched. Cecilia, Sully started, trying to evade Mike. He sat Randall's down and grabbed Celia's, handing it to her. Oh, Sully, you shouldn't have, Celia said. Sully was about to say something else, but Celia knew right away. Don't worry, unlike Michael, I can leave it till the exchange. For thanks, and for that, he took Mike's. Could you hold on to this? He said. Celia took it without a reply, and Mike instantly went to her. Smoochy Poo, you wouldn't let your dear Barry Bear beg for his present, would you? He asked with devour. Celia just stared. Well, we all have to wait, Michael. What? Finally be able to rest his arms, Sully put the other presents down, rubbing his arms. Everyone else come yet, Celia? Sully asked. Celia took a moment to comfort Mike in his defeat before replying. I think so. Xavier I know came in an hour ago, and so did Anderson. Randall came in a few minutes ago. Think only a few aren't here yet. Sully nodded and thanks, and she went back to Mike. He had a few presents for some of the workers on the scare floor. He had to put those in his locker and take them after lunch. When the exchange would happen, he would take Mr. Waternoose's with him. Sully didn't want to intrude something important for just a gift. If Mr. Waternoose would come to the floor, like he often did so, he would be very lucky to give it over. Grabbing the presents, Sully stared in the direction of the locker rooms, putting away the presents away for now. See you on the floor, Mike, he said, heaving the presents. Floor F was decorated in a fashion similar to everyone else's. About 2 trees spanning from the back, a ring of lights around the interior, a few overhead along with the familiar snowflakes. Everyone was dressed in holiday suits and drinking complimentary sodas from a cylinder ice container, courtesy of the Union, and talking amongst each other. Randall didn't stuck around too much. He was a bit amused to see Roz wearing a red and green suit with gold trimmings, which conflicted a rather void in expressions that would creep even him out. He was thinking about talking with Fungus, but he remembered himself that the words talk and fungus in the same sentence he didn't really mean. It was supposed to mean so he decided to head to the locker room. Opening his own locker, he stuck Sullivan's present inside, not wanting to drag it around all day. He figured he'd just keep his coat on. It was a pretty fast trek, and heading to the scare floor again was basically all he could think of. For a moment he just stood in front of his locker, listening for any noises from anyone else, or pick up something rather interesting gossip. Nothing. He was just thinking, just giving up and heading back till someone came in. He thought that he wouldn't know where they were coming from, but the mere sight of wobbling presents appearing over the string of back lockers of more then gave it away. He was first thinking of beyond annoyed by the person's holiday spirit, but he opted to holding back a laugh as Sullivan came in with holding a gallery of presents in his arms. He held up his hands to his mouth, holding back joy as a few presents fell from the pile. Sullivan managed to free a hand, which started searching for his locker. Once he managed to get a few, he finally noticed Randall. Out! Oh, he said, with a bit of shock, nearly losing the rest of his presents. After Randall recovered from the initial amusement, he finally said something. "So I know where your bonuses went," he said with a chuckle. Sully heaved the presents again and continued to store them in one by one. "Well, now I get a bit more pay," he said, placing another in. "I figured I could stretch to everyone getting something." "Clump to the end of the year," Randall teased, setting back his back against the lockers and folding his arms. "At least you get to spend the bonus on something," he mumbled to himself. Sully finally shoved the last few in and closed his locker. "Staying for the party tonight, Randall?" he asked. He shrugged. "Pfft, might as well for the free food. Might get myself stuffed and head out when I feel like it." "Thought you'd want to talk to everyone." "There's nothing I want to talk about everyone about," Randall retorted. Sully brought his paw to the back of his neck. "Is it about the scare record?" Randall rolled his head, getting off to his lockers. "Heck no," he started. "Just enjoy the title while you can. Come the new year, I'm gonna be back up," he added with a grin to the comment. "I guess," Sully replied, then again shrugging. "Just know what I expect from you, trainee," Randall said with a sly and with a slight glare. Sully gave a sigh, making Randall straighten up. "Just reminding you who taught you what you know. I suppose I should be grateful I am a good teacher, but for now," with that, he started his way out. "Oh," he stopped. "And I'm not too stubborn. I at least get something for this idiotic gift exchange." He continued to head off. Sully gave in a slight smile. The gift exchange was going to happen after lunch and after the second session of the party would start. While most of the employees headed off the lunchroom, Randall stayed in his station. Fungus had gone off and he was alone slunk in his chair with a Mon Coda in his upper hands. He had heard some screeching, but it was only Smitty and Needlemane dragging off the trash container, probably just getting a new one for the presents that would be unwrapped later on. Taking another gulp, he sat the drink between his lower set of hands, grabbing a folder and looking through it. He wasn't practically interested. His eyes just ran over the words, not taking any intro concentration. Bored fast, he tossed the folder back into the table, easing back and looking up at the scareboard. Though it wasn't lit up at the time, he could tell still some of the face graphics and the silhouettes onto him. He didn't really mind that Sullivan was ahead. Sure, at first he was shocked, but he figured that once in a while someone would catch up. But it didn't expect it to be Sullivan. But as the days dragged on, he slowly became more and more angry as he wasn't getting back up again. Pushing back those thoughts, he brought out the less frustrating ones, looking up at the various snowflake designs. He stared, thinking on the subject again. He didn't really know how Christmas came to be, since before he was born, but I guess getting a gift was in his first Christmas made him naive enough to question why Christmas was how it is, or simply he didn't care. Randall scorned himself. No, it wasn't because he didn't care. It was because it was confusing. Supposed to be joyous yet. He kicked himself off his chair, coming to around the desk and leaning against it. He looked at the side of the soda can, swirling a small amount inside. No amount of stuff is going to help, he thought, tossing the can to his station's can and placing the palms on the desk side. Stupid holiday, just an excuse to tell people to be good to one another, and what's one out there for 365 days? He just stared there, staring and thinking. After a moment he suppressed his thoughts and decided to grab Sullivan's gift. The gift exchange was truly a time that made everyone like their gift exchange with their own families. Perhaps it was because in some ways, those four were a family. Most of the scarers appreciate the sentiment from a few fellow workers and enjoyed a light chat to get to know each other a bit more for the first time. Mike finally got his own gifts, the one that Sully and from another from Celia. Sully was lucky to catch Mr. Waternoose in the lunchroom and hand the gift over. His boss glad to receive it. Even Ross got a gift from Celia, though perfume to others didn't seem to be her interest. As for Randall, he was sitting in the station, watching a balanced pen between his upper fingers. Every once in a while he snapped at someone if he ever lost his balance. He was thinking of calling Sullivan over to get the exchange over and done with, but figured if the marriage dragged on any longer, he wouldn't have to worry about it. But as the fates always did, Sullivan managed to get it away and come over, a small white box in his hand. Of course, like most times, Sullivan didn't speak up at first, not knowing how to start. But Randall was more than willing to, though, not taking his eyes off his pen. "About time, Sullivan," he started, taking the gift in his lower hands and holding it out. "Here." Sully was a bit taken back, but took the gift and holding it for a second before handing it out to the one he got. Sighing, Randall put the beloved pen down and sat up, taking the box he brought up to the side of his face, shaking it. Sully undid the wrapping on his gift and took off the top. Wow! Inside was a circular object. Bringing it out, he was still a bit surprised. It looked like a silver pocket watch, not one of the ordinary ones. It was the old-fashioned Victorian pocket watch. Sully was still a bit shocked. He expected something cheap or common, though he didn't really think Randall to be that. He was still surprised. "Thanks, Randall," he said, still holding the watch as Randall grunted. "Just a reminder, when I beat you in a few days, you better remember the time," he replied with a grin. Sully didn't give a smart look, he just smiled. "Well, let's see." He started unwrapping his gift. "What, the socks?" he thought out loud, a bit annoyed in the different gift value. Sully was about to tell him wrong till Randall brought it off, finding it was a rather decorative scarf. "I kinda feel a bit bad," Sully said, honest. "Didn't know what to get, but I did know it gets cold outside, and I see you shivering when you come in, so..." Randall hid the annoyance that he had bought Sullivan in a terms pricier gift, then take the pocket watch cost a bit less than one would think. Hiding half with the annoyance, Randall looked over the design. It was black with several red and violet designs. He took it fully from the box and tested it around his neck. It was a bit long, but fit right. "Ah, at least it fits, and I won't have to worry about that cold chill feeling down my spine," he replied with a bit of annoyance, but Sully could tell that he was lucky in the gift-giving. The party was held in the lunchroom. The tables were set up against the walls, each filled with punch bowls, platters, and several foods brought in, even ones from the employees themselves. Everyone was grabbing grabs at Peterson's roadkill platter, but other than that, the auditorium sound system was brought to play Christmas music. Every employee was dressed in garbs and clothes featuring the holiday season. Chatting with friends, eggnog, or at least a moon version of it, chugging food and stuffing, and most of many other things. Sully was over with Sanderson, both commenting Peterson's supreme cooking skills, or rather his wife's. He was really waiting for Celia and Mike to come over, even though he figured Mike would be busy with the new mini stereo. But he was surprised when Celia came in, half-dragging Mike, who gave up about halfway. Celia had no apparent gift, though Mike had gotten her 2 tickets to a New Year's themed monster truck show in a few days, which they both had enjoyed. After an exchange of words, Mike had offered to get Celia some punch, getting Sully to come with him. "I'm telling you, Saul, once Celia has warmed up to me, I think she'll qualify for first place," Mike said, having a bit of trouble reaching the punch bowl. "I don't think I want to marry her in the first year, Mike," Sully said with a soft smile. "Well, yeah, I can wait." Sully rolled his eyes. "Just like you did with the present?" Mike gave him a blank stare. "So there's so many differences between wanting for presents and women." He stared, turning back to get to the punch. "Well, one thing being that they want commitment." In the end, Sully had gone to get the punch for Celia, leaving Mike stubborn in the task of providing that he could get a cup of his own. Handing a cup to Celia, Sully kept watching Mike's efforts. It was amusing and he had to admit it. He had waited for a moment before looking around. Where's Randall?" he asked. Celia shrugged. "I don't know. I think I saw him leave a few minutes after the party started." Sully sighed. He hoped Randall would stick around for a bit so he could thank him for the watch again, but he thought maybe Randall had other things to do. Maybe he had his own Christmas traditions too. Maybe he had promises to keep or gifts to buy. Or maybe he simply just was spending Christmas with his family. The snow was falling out from the window, the world-famous Christmas specials being shown on TV. the heater slowly increasing in temperature and its occupant. Randall sat in the chair in the living room, staring at the tree across from him. The green scarf was wrapped around his neck, with his coat on the rack and at the door he came in. His upper hands were slumped, both holding the underside of the glass with the juice and somewhat fruit that made it taste like wine. Though not something with alcohol, the TV switched to a choir singing song, but Randall didn't hear it. He just stared, staring at no specific Christmas light, no specific orb, no specific decoration. He was just deep in thought. He swirled the juice around and rose, heading over to the corner wall, where he took a picture and headed back to his seat. Sitting again, he looked at the picture for a moment. The choir still sung, getting to a high note. After a moment passed, Randall placed the picture to his side, swirling the juice with a sigh. He held it up at the picture, half-steady grin on his face, which became less steady with the water in his eyes. "Got through another one, brother." He lowered his glass, looking at the reflection as the water dropped into the juice. "Got through another one," he whispered, and then took a half glass in one full gulp. After blowing a breath, he set the glass on the floor. He then turned to his right side, holding his sides with both sets of hands. He wasn't shivering the warmth of the room or the season of this Christmas. He just didn't feel like a comfort to him anymore. And that, my pretties, was As the Snow Falls, a Monsters Inc. Christmas fanfiction written by RandallFanOne. This was actually a really good story. I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was really neat and well done. And I do have to say is that the author hasn't written any stories since like 2006. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and narrate this anyway. So, since he hasn't been active, I definitely do have to really say, I really do understand, Randall was, the grumpy person. If you've seen Monsters Inc., you probably remember, Randall. He's like the grumpy person and stuff like that. So, I definitely do have to really say, I can understand Randall not really liking the holiday so much. I mean, it's kind of like my dad because, my dad doesn't really like Christmas that much, but it is what it is. But getting back to the story. I personally really like this story. I thought it was a really good one, It's a really great concept for a good story. I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was really neat and well done. I personally do like it. I thought it was really neat and it was really nice. So, I definitely do have to really say is that it is a really, really awesome some story. So I definitely do have to really say is that it's a really good one. Like the grammar was good, same with the sentence structuring and the storyline, and definitely the punctuation marks. I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good, well done story. Like, I mean, I haven't really watched Monsters Inc. in a long time, and I haven't done a story on Monsters Inc. in quite a while, so yeah, it's been quite a while since I did a Monsters Inc. story. The last time I did a Monsters Inc. story was the runner up, which that was like a long time ago. So yeah. I definitely do need to say is that it's pretty good. I personally really enjoyed this. And I'll leave a link in the description for any of you guys who are interested in, taking a look at this. So yeah, there's definitely that. And as always, I'm just going to sit here and say is that, it's a pretty good story for what it is. So I'm definitely going to really say it's a pretty good story. Like, I really like this one. I haven't really found any good Monsters Inc. stories. So yeah, but I could definitely say, it's a pretty good one. And I could definitely recommend this to anybody who has never seen this story and if you haven't seen Monsters Inc., I highly recommend you check that movie out. It's such a good film. And I definitely do need to say is that there's nothing negative I do have to say about this story. I do have to really say it's a really enjoyable one. And it's definitely a very fun one to do. I personally really enjoyed narrating it. I thought it was really neat and well done. So, yeah, I mean, RandallFanOne, if you are watching this, I want to say you did a really good job with this story. I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. So, I guess with that being said, and with that being the case, like I'm always going to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with it, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these stories. It's just simply my own personal thoughts. I give this story a 10 out of 10. It's a really good Monsters Inc. Christmas story. I personally really liked it. I thought it was really well done. I like the concept of it, and it's just a really amazing, well done story. And yeah, I definitely do have to really say that if you guys like Monsters Inc., then you should really check out this story if you haven't. And like I said before, link will be in the description, so you guys can go follow that story if you want. I will definitely do say that it's a really good one, so yeah, there's definitely that. And I guess with that being said and that being the case, what did you guys personally think of this story? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm Shadow the Lion Queen. I want to thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. As always, if you guys want to go follow me on Blue Sky, follow me on Twitter, follow me on DeviantArt, and follow me on my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, as links to those will be in the About page section, so you guys will not miss an upload. And yeah, I guess I'll be seeing you guys all in the next video, and peace out. And as always, I will see you all next time, and roll the outro because I'm out.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.